My grandfather, David Ruddock, also known as DR, lived in an era of well-known Welsh orators. He recorded a cassette tape in which he provided examples of politicians making speeches, and at the end makes some observations about them, especially about Aneurin Bevan, who he knew personally. I have digitised the audio tape and added photographs to create this video. I used the internet to confirm the speakers, but I'm not 100% sure about the James Griffiths extract. Please note, DR calls Neil Kinnock Neil McKinnon by mistake. I have put a number of links in the description box below which provide more details about the orators mentioned. DR will now introduce the clips and then, at the end, make some remarks.
Because this tape is dedicated to St. David's Day, the Welsh people, their singing and their culture, I thought it may be appropriate to include in the recording some examples of Welsh spellbinders and oratory.
You will never dissolve, you will never effect real dissolve until you renounce war not merely on a scroll of paper, but in the hearts of men. The real aim of this election has been very cunningly concealed in the folds of the Union Jack. Its purpose is to convert this country into a mere copy of protectionist Germany, with every essential commodity taxed heavily at the ports, including the food of the people. We subordinate liberty, sympathy with the oppressed, right, justice, for our own tranquility. We are in fact in the position today of having appealed to force in the case of a small nation, where if it is appealed to against us, it will result in the destruction of Great Britain, not only as a nation, but as an island containing living men and women. Therefore I say to Anthony Eden, I say to the British government, there is no count at all upon which they can be defended. They have besmirched the name of Britain. They have made us ashamed of the things of which formerly we were proud. They have offended against every principle of decency. And there is only one way in which they can even begin to restore their tarnished reputation. And that is to get out, get out, get out. Sir Anthony Eden has been pretending that he is now invading Egypt in order to strengthen the United Nations. Every burglar, of course, could say the same thing. He could argue that he was entering the house in order to train the police. So if Sir Anthony Eden is sincere in what he is saying, and he may be, then if he is sincere in what he is saying, then he is too stupid to be a Prime Minister. Even the Tories themselves have been rather surprised at what has been happening. It's the first time in my lifetime that we have had a Tory government in Great Britain without having had mass unemployment at the same time. And this circumstance has taken even the Tories by surprise. And you can't wonder at it, because they don't know why it's happened. And they want to have a general election before they find out. Now, I want to be perfectly fair to them, there is no reason why we shouldn't, because we can beat them that way anyhow. Listen now. This is a very serious... Listen carefully, because if you don't, you'll be a dull going out as you are coming in.
Temperament, by upbringing, I was a pacifist. Circumstances compelled me to change. And I remember the time when I changed. And part of the change was made by the arguments of a General Secretary of the Transport and General Workers Union. And they were these friends, that to the problem of how to prevent aggression and war, pacifism is not enough. Friends, we failed to stop aggression in the 30s. We sacrificed Abyssinia. We killed the League, which was our greatest hope. Non-intervention didn't save the Spanish democracy from being crucified. And appeasement did not prevent, but led to the Second World War.
Whereas in the long term, health of the education service and all other public services depended on the health of the economy. Typical Tory, he's got it absolutely the wrong way round. The health of the economy in this industrial and technological revolution, as in no other, depends on the health of the education services. We have in Britain, we have 4 raw materials: oil, coal, gas, and children, brains. He that in any of those areas deliberately and calculatingly creates waste, underuse, destruction, destroys not only the chances of this generation, but poisons the well for all generations to come. I say our fight for educational advance and progress is not just a fight against the Tories. It is a fight for survival. Let us put all our effort in every way that we can, in our unions, in our workplaces, in our party, everywhere, right throughout our whole community, into putting education at the top of our priority list. It is the means of progress for our socialism. It is the means of life for our society.
There you have 4 examples of Welsh oratory spellbinders. Lloyd George, Aneurin Bevan, James Griffiths, and Neil McKinnon, and I've known all 4 of them. Wonderful speeches, but after many years' personal experience in the realm of politics, I am firmly convinced that political speeches are totally apart and entirely different from the implementation of their promises in the hard field of economic and financial realities. They are wonderfully entertaining for the moment, but make little contribution to real economic and social development. If you compare and analyze their speeches of many politicians over the years, you will observe their contradictions, the U-turns, and insincerities. But of course, politics is the art of the possibility, and in the end, the people themselves command the quality and the standard of politics they deserve. Among many young people, especially the Welsh, who know Aneurin Bevan only by reputation, especially young socialists, there is a tendency to euphorize his political stand and principles as unblemished. But in my many years of association with him in the valleys, at the college in London, and in politics, I came to a different conclusion. He had all the faults of a prima donna, could be jealous, vain, suffer from tantrums, and had a reputation from unrestrained weeping on occasions. He could twist and turn, like all politicians, to suit his immediate purpose. I have just concluded reading parts of Crossman's latest volume of diaries, which came out on February the 26th, and if anyone wants to know how Aneurin behaved and changed his policies almost overnight, they can read there how Aneurin changed his view upon the atomic bomb when he thought he may become Foreign Secretary. And there are other examples too of his changes of policies. Regarding Lloyd George, I first heard him speak at the Miners' Conference in Cardiff in 1916. In my view, he was a twister, was not above a little financial skullduggery, a womanizer, but so are most of them, or worse. But he was too obvious in this respect. But he was the greatest Prime Minister that this country ever had. Founder of the old age pensions, the first health services, the disestablishment of the Welsh Church, and he saved Britain from defeat in 1914-1918. But these snatches of political oratory you've just heard are real examples of the art, wile and cunning of politics at probably their best. But don't let me impose upon you too much pontification. So let's get on with the music.